What is up, everybody? I am back with another really special interview. I got Mr. Zach freaking Slaughter from Skullfist. What is up, dude? Thanks for coming on here.
That was probably loud as fuck, though. Sorry. What's up, dude? How are you, man?
I'm good, dude. Glad to talk to you. I'm a huge fan, so it means a lot.
Yo, fucking right.
So first thing I'm going to get into here is your next solo album comes out pretty soon here, March 20th. It's called Trouble on the Water. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It's like an ego thing, right? Like, because you sing in a band, it's like mandatory for you to get a huge ego and start trying to make your own shitty folk music. It's like standard, you know? That's what you do. No, it's I just like making music, you know? So it's like all the stuff that I make is like,
yeah,
all the stuff that I make.
It's very different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I like so much different music, you know? And I remember, man, today I seen some guy who called me a hipster because I was making folk music. That was fucking hilarious. No, I mean, it's like, I like so much different music, and obviously I would never want to compromise the sound of Skullfist by putting in something that's too mellow or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's like making solo shit. It's nice because I can just do whatever I want,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I guess that's it. Right?
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I was going to say, anyone that hasn't heard it, it's a lot different. Yeah, a lot different than Skullfist, a lot mellower, kind of like melodic rock mixed with that folky acoustic. Really cool stuff. Your first solo album came out in 2017. It was really good as well.
Hold on, the fucking video's screwing up here. Ask that question one more time there.
You hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Good. I was just asking about Freedom, your other side band. You got two albums out with that.
Freedom!
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Freedom stuff is fucking shit, man. That stuff's ridiculous. Yeah, I just like I said, man. Like I have no social life, man, dude. Like I honestly don't, man. I don't. The only guy I talk to is like JJ is the only guy that I call and just talk about random shit. Probably call him like every day because I'm always so bored or lonely or something, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, but the Freedom stuff is just like totally just like it's just dicking around. It's just so much like, you know, because like it's like Freedom is for like just being a jackass, you know. My solo stuff is for kind of just like kind of almost like experimenting, and not experimenting, but like,
yeah,
I was always been really into like old rock and old folk and all that stuff. So that stuff was more like, I don't know, I'd say like, not to sound kind of douchey, but like kind of like more personal stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and then Skullfist is kind of like, because you're doing heavy metal, you can only really do so much in this, like within the sound of heavy metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like you only got so much different melodies. You've only got so many different progressions to kind of work with, right? It's like, you're kind of stuck in that. And it's like, kind of like, I don't know, man. It's like when you're when you're really like, I love fucking music a lot, man, you know? So it's like, especially writing, I love, like, if I'm listening to some old punk stuff, that's how the Freedom stuff came out, was that I love punk. I've always loved it since I was a kid. And I was a skater and I still skate and shit, but I was really into punk. And I ended up getting into metal after, but I still listen to lots of punk. And I remember like a couple of years ago, I was just really fucking listening to punk a lot lately. And I was like, you know what? I want to do some punk stuff. And I've always wanted to drum. So I was like, I always wanted to be a punk drummer, actually. Like, even I started on music as a drummer. And the only reason I switched to guitar because my parents wouldn't give me a drum kit because it was too loud. And so the Freedom stuff was like absolutely just like, I just wanted, it was mostly to drum punk, you know, just to I don't know. It was like, so, but then I ended up using a bunch of riffs that never would have made it to Skullfist anyway. Although a lot of people were saying that I wasted the song Shark Attack and I could have made that into a Skullfist song.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, you know, all these riffs are like Skullfist riffs, but you're just saying something stupid instead of real lyrics.
So the music video for that's hilarious too. If anybody hasn't seen it, the Shark Attack music video, it's awesome stuff. And as far as the next Skullfist album goes. You're 3 albums in, and I saw you post you like laid down a solo in the studio the other day. Is there any like realistic estimated date for that next Skullfist album to be out?
Honestly, man, we recorded almost all of it. I just fixed up a couple things the other day in the studio just because like there's this one riff that I just like, I don't know, man. I just thought it needed, like I think I've been listening to, because we actually recorded this back in like March of last year. It was like right before the Corona shit, right? Like right before it got serious. And I remember we were in the studio and we are like, hey, there's like a virus, you know, bleh. And just like, it wasn't even a conversation. It was just like, bleh. You know, yeah, whatever, you know, let's just play. And so then we finished recording. We were there for about a week. And then like I was going to start doing the vocals right away. We were going to start finishing out. And that was supposed to come out in fall time. And we had all these tours lined up and all this crap was going on. So now it's been almost a year since we recorded the music. And I started doing the vocals, you know, months ago. But I kind of paused because I can't, like, it's like, no, I really don't want to release the album if I can't tour. You know, it's like, I just feel like I've seen so many bands release records during this. And it's just like, I don't know, man, it just feels way too weird for me because it's like most of what you get from it is now playing those songs live. It's like, for me, it's, I love writing music. And I like recording it, but like the one part where you get to play it live, like that's the part that you at least get to enjoy. You know what I mean? That's where you're playing the riff on stage and you're like, yeah, I like this riff. Or you play it a couple times and you're like, yeah, this song was a bad riff. I shouldn't have done this one. But you know, like, but that's where you know, and so now I think it really is going to depend on that though, man. It really is, like, and guys are asking a lot about it, but because I think it's going to depend on that. Like, I hope we had first said fall time, then we said January of this year, and now we just, because shit kept getting pushed back, and then we were like, you know, okay, well maybe fucking springtime, and now it's going to be almost springtime. We can't because we still can't tour, and then I've been talking to JJ. That's why I'm calling him all the time. We talk like almost every day, and we're like doing all the research online about how long this crap is going to last, and it's like, you know, he's like, oh man, I think we're going to be good for fall time. I'm like, no, I don't think we're going to be good at all for fall time, you know? And so I think regardless, even if it doesn't come out in fall time, things will be easy enough for us to release a single and film a video, as long as we're not like, you know, making out or something in the video or something like that, you know? And so I don't want to sit on it for too long. So whatever happens, regardless, I think it's going to come out, no matter what, it's going to have to come out in January of next year. I mean, it's going to have to, because I can't, like, it'll be, yeah, like the songs are going to be old by that time, you know? And like I said, I've seen so many bands releasing records, man. And I'm just like, I see it. I even talked to guys about it. I was like, how did it go and stuff? And everybody I talked to was like, man, it was a fucking dumb idea. Like it's like right when it happened, everyone was like, oh shit, let's just release albums because everyone's at home and they're gonna listen to them. But like, so many dudes, like everything is just kind of like on pause, you know, which is annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but
I mean, it sucks a lot worse for a lot of other people, but for us, it is annoying as shit. So I think regardless, we'll release a single this year with a video, at least to do something, to be like, hey, you know, we still exist. Like we're still there, man. And then regardless, it's gonna have to come out at the beginning of next year. It has to. It was supposed to come out fucking fall time of last year, you know. So
and you mentioned you haven't done the vocals yet. Is your voice feeling pretty good these days? Because I know about 2-3 years ago you had a singer for Skullfist that wasn't you. Was that like lingering issues from when you broke your neck, or was that just you were kind of getting a little worn out with your voice and you need a little break, or how's that whole situation?
Well, everybody got really confused on it because I'm awesomely accident prone. You know, like, it's just, there's a way to hurt yourself doing something, I'm gonna do it. And no, the broken neck was from skateboarding, and that was 2014 or 15, I think. I think it was 2015. And then it healed, and that was fine. But then in 2019, 16, we did a Chasing the Dream tour in Europe, and I was at the peak of my idiot, you know what I mean? I was just right at the peak of not being self-aware of, you know, and I was drinking a shit ton, and I was smoking a shit ton, and I was all stressed out about all this shit, and I ended up blowing my voice. I screwed up my voice. I got cysts in my vocal cords. I had to get surgeries, and I literally couldn't sing. So we had all these tours booked still, and then we just had to, we didn't want to cancel them, so we ended up getting a buddy to sing it. And then we actually got another guy to sing some other stuff. So we had this guy named Brian, who's he was the brother of our old drummer who played on Chasing the Dream, Christy. And the guy was such a fucking amazing singer that we were like, hey, let's just get this dude to do these tours. And then he couldn't do some other tours. We ended up getting Jerry, who was in Voltax. I don't know if you know Voltax.
No.
Voltax is a Mexican band, Mexican heavy metal. And the guys it was funny because both singers were a million times better than me. So when they were rehearsing with us, I was like, fuck you, dude. How are you so fucking good? And they were just doing everything that is so hard for me. But they were doing everything they're just standing there fucking, you know, and so they were really good. But it took me almost 3 years to be able to sing at that range again. And that was when we did Way of the Dog.
Well, very cool. Yeah, I'm glad you're feeling better with that. And
now it's good. I stopped smoking.
Now I want to go. Cool. And just gonna go way back here. I was just gonna ask around what age did you get your first guitar, and when did you really seriously take it up?
Because I couldn't get the drums. I think I was 14.
15?
14 or 15, yeah. It was something like that, yeah. And it was I grabbed one of my dad's guitars, and he was like, hey, why don't you play guitar instead? He was trying to push guitar onto me because he didn't want to give me a drum kit. And but when I picked it up left-handed, right? And he's like,
yeah,
are you a lefty? And I was like, yeah, that feels good like this. And he was just like, ah, fuck. He's like, all right, you know. So he switched the strings around and changed it around for me. But at that time, I was into punk stuff, so I was like,
yeah,
I played power chords for the first year, just going, yeah. And then when he put on a Momstein tape for me once.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to hear something cool? And I wasn't into metal at the time, or I was starting to get into metal. And I swore to God, I was like, that's not a fucking guitar. Well, the guitars can't do that. That's not what is that? Like a keyboard? It's what's going on? And I had no. It was his first record too. It was the first song that I heard was
Rising Forth.
Yeah, the first song that I heard was what was it? Fucking bound. No.
I don't know. If Rising Forth, so
I will never die because I will fly to the other side.
Honestly, I can't think of it right now.
I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, it's
cool. That's awesome. So when you were first starting up, who were some of your biggest influences? Some of the guys you tried to mimic early on?
I don't know. I liked rhythm. You know, honestly, I never wanted to be a lead player. I wanted to be a rhythm player because I liked. I thought that Scorpions, when I first heard Scorpions, I was probably 16 maybe. I really fucking just liked the riffs so much, and they felt fun to play. You know what I mean? So I remember learning obviously I learned fucking Rock You Like a Hurricane because it was easy. But one of the first real riffs, Big City Nights, I thought was so cool. And
that's awesome.
Cat Scratch Fever really was another riff that I just fucking I would sit in my room and play a couple riffs, and I had 3 pedals. So I'd play the riff until I got bored of making it sound like that. So I'd put on a phaser pedal, and then I'd play the same riff for 20 minutes with the phaser pedal. And then I'd fucking put on the delay pedal a little bit. And then I'd put on a chorus pedal and turn the gain off, turn the gain on. I was a huge riff guy. And then I remember one of the first gigs that I played, the guy that I played in a band with at the time we were kids, he was the lead player. And I realized that no one gave a fuck about anything that I had done. They only cared about the guy ripping all these solos. And I was like, oh man, I gotta learn that solo or something, you know? And so that I kind of so I think like it wasn't really a particular style that I was really into. I was mostly into just riffs up until I was like 17, 18. And it was just like Scorpions, like Rudolph Shankar, I really thought had the awesomest riffs. And Ted Nugent, I thought had really cool riffs, Snakeskin Cowboy and stuff.
Oh yeah, awesome. So, what was the first band you saw in concert? Your favorite concert of all time?
First band that I seen. Well, I seen Alice Cooper when I was a kid. He came to my hometown. That was really cool. But the first time I was ever in a bar was to sneak into a Helix concert. I was 18. I lived like 10 hours north, so like there was no way for me to go to a concert. No, sorry, I was 18 when I seen it, but I was 15 when I hitchhiked to Toronto when I was 15 to go and see Iron Maiden, and I seen Maiden at it was a really fucking hilarious trip. We were smoking a lot of weed when we were kids, but anyway, so it was Maiden, Dio, and Motorhead actually, and I only knew a little bit of Motorhead. And I didn't even know who fucking Dio was when I was 15. There was no way. I didn't have internet until I was like 17. I knew other guys that had the internet, but I didn't get it until I was like 17. So I remember when I seen Dio, we were laughing. We were like, this guy's tiny, bro. Like, this is crazy little dude. But when we heard him play, you know, and the songs were really good, you know, and we were like, fuck, okay, you know, we got to check out Dio now. And there was like the pre-internet days for us, because it was like, I remember first time I heard Megadeth, I traded it for a live, had an Iron Maiden live record, Real Live Dead one, and I traded that for a Megadeth CD. And the first song that I listened to was Wake Up Dead, and I didn't like it. I fucking it was too heavy for me at the time, man. I wasn't ready for that heavy, you know. And and then years later, I became a huge Megadeth fan, and. So yeah, the Dio thing was really funny because I guess we seen him, and metal was really fucking dead at that point too, right? Like it was fucking done. And what
was this, like late 90s, early 2000s?
Yeah, this is like 2000. Probably, yeah, this is like 2000, I think, actually. Maybe 2000 or 2001, in between that. And so we seen that concert. It was at Molson Amphitheater in Toronto, and tickets, we got really good seats for $30. And the place was like half empty and shit. And it was 2001 because Brave New World just came out.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
awesome.
That was the first time I was like, fucking. And Motorhead was really cool. I didn't know a lot of songs at the time, but like, I remember thinking like, I wanted to like almost absorb some of that attitude. You know, like it was like had so much balls, you know, like they were fucking great musicians, just so much fucking balls. It was like a punk thing, you know, it really reminded me of the punk stuff that I liked. So I guess.
Awesome. Nice. So a couple of years after that, you started up Skullfist in about 2006. Was that like originally a solo project, or did you have a full band to start, and then, or how did that all happen?
Well, it was when I was 18 going on 19. Sounds like a song. When I was 18 going on 19. 18 helix in a bar. No, it was actually Shred. His name was Shred, Sir Shred in the band. I don't know if you know the band Action.
It does not sound familiar.
Action is like another kind of Skullfisty type band. There's actually 2 ex-members from the original Skullfist lineup who are in Action. And the drummer, Alice, because if you heard our Heavier Than Metal EP, Allison and Shred, actually, when they left Skullfist, they started Action. But anyway, so Shred, who was from the same hometown as me, and he wanted to move to Toronto. It was actually, I wanted to do music, but he's the one who kind of made me do it. He pushed me to do it. He's like, let's fucking just go now, you know? And so when we moved to Toronto, we were looking for a singer, because I obviously knew that I couldn't sing, and I'm still pretty confident in that. Dude, you
got a good voice.
Well, you know, it's either those. It's one of those voices that is like, it's like I was almost like Vince Neil or something, you know. And it's like Either you terribly hate it or you're like, oh, I think it's cool, you know? And so it was 2006. No, we moved there in 2006, and we were looking for a singer. We couldn't find anybody that could sing like kind of how we wanted to, with that kind of high, whiny, dead cat voice. And I was playing bass originally. I switched to bass so we could play shows because we found a drummer. And so 2006, we did the 2 songs. It was supposed to be 4 songs, but our drummer was, he ended up ODing and he was in the hospital and shit. The guy was kind of a maniac. And so we ended up only doing 2 songs. So we had a lineup then. We had a lineup, and his name was Basile, but everybody called him Vag. So great. He was actually a punk drummer. He was a punk drummer, and he just, you know, we were buddies and we drank a lot. So he joined the band, and he didn't last. Nice. He wasn't around for very long. So 2006, in between 2006 and 2010, when we released that EP, it was like it was like revolving door. You know, like guys would show up for a while, it wouldn't work out, then they'd be gone. A couple months later, somebody else would come in, and you know, Shred ended up leaving.
Cool. So going forward to 2011, y'all released your debut album, Head of the Pack. You got the 10-year anniversary of that coming up. Is there any special plans, like re-release, remaster, or anything like that for that? And how does it feel looking back 10 years? That's a long time.
It's kind of depressing to think that I've only done 3 albums in 10 years, to be honest. I guess it would be 4 when the next record comes out. It's weird. Like, because after that record came out, we got so sucked into drinking, man. You know, like we just got so sucked into just like partying and stuff and drinking all the time and smoking. But 2011, Head of the Pack was I'm happy with the album for what it was, you know. It was definitely unique, I think.
Yeah.
It was totally unique. Right. Bad production. Well, not bad production, but not amazing production.
It's got the classic sound.
Well, it does, though. Yeah, like I wouldn't say I guess you could say, you know, not bad, but just very raunchy. It was very raunchy, and it was actually no, you know, the guy that mixed it was Daniel, and he was a really good buddy. And it was the first album he had ever mixed in his life. We recorded the record at a TV studio because he worked at a TV studio and he had money. So what he did with what we gave him was actually fucking amazing, you know, because like, he did for what we gave him, he actually did a really good job. I don't have any plans though. Like, JJ was asking me about this the other day, actually. He's like, yeah, we should repress it or something, you know, because we haven't had the vinyls for years, but it's so hard to get the vinyls because the label owns that record. And the only way to get them to repress it is if we buy like 500 copies from them. But the problem is they charge us a really good amount of money for every copy. Yeah. So to repress it, like we'll probably pay like $12 Canadian for each record. So it's like, you know, to press 500, you know, so you end up paying like $6,000. I would love to though.
Yeah. I think.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that I think Ride the Beast, best Skullfist song, amazing stuff.
Love that's my favorite track. That's the only song from the early Skullfist that I still really like playing. Like that's the one, and Head of the Pack I like playing too. But like that song, Ride the Beast, man, every time I fucking play that song, doesn't matter. Like I like it, man. It feels fucking fun to play. Like I still get, when I'm on stage, should I start playing that song? Like I get pumped up, you know, like I can be like playing another track, but then that song comes in and you start going, and I'm like, oh yeah, you know, like I really, that's one track I still feel so fucking good about.
Awesome. And, you know, around this time, there was a lot of like, it's called, you know, the new wave of traditional heavy metal. It's like you guys, White Wizard, Enforcer, Holy Grail, all these bands. Like, were you aware at the time that you were kind of like inspiring a whole movement and still going strong now? A lot of these bands still, a lot of influence from y'all.
No, nobody did. I don't think anyone, no, not like, because it really, Cauldron, Enforcer, White Wizard, were the bigger bands. You know, they were all on Earache Records, and Skullfist wasn't. Like we weren't even signed. I think when they were all signed, we didn't even get signed. We were just, you know, a bunch of little nut jobs, and you know, we were like all the time, you know, like, and so those bands all definitely had their shit together, you know, and they were definitely at the top. I think there was no doubt about it. Like we would see how well they were doing, those three bands, and we were like, fuck, like, oh man, how come we can't do that? And you know, Casey's like, blah, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why, because we're, you know, ridiculous. And but when we did, when Head of the Pack did come out, and then there was a big hype on it. There was like a huge, back then up until about 2013, there was all of the magazines were talking about, you know, these new heavy metal bands, right? And it was this really popular thing, and a lot of the bands were getting really good hype. We started getting really good hype. We started getting more tours and started touring with those bands. And but the hype died really quick, you know, because around 2014, Ghost came out, and that really changed the whole, like, the media thing, the magazine stuff. It really changed, and then they all started getting, you know, then the whole new thing became kind of the cult 70s, like kind of what do you call it, like the baby version of satanic,
like stoner rock.
Yeah, you know, the change, right?
Yeah.
So everyone was like, oh man, you know, these new heavy metal bands, holy shit, wow. And then it was like, oh wait, you know, look at this stuff. And then all of that, like that huge hype massively died. Because I remember we had all these little magazine things going on back in, you know, between 2011 and 2013. And same thing with Enforcer, you know, these guys were fucking all over the place. And Collagen had a lot of hype. And White Wizard by 2013 kind of started dying down because they had all the lineup changes, and it kind of started going downhill, right? And and it just got, and all of a sudden when Chasing the Dream came out, I think around that time, Enforcer released that Death by Fire record, I think. And it was around the same time, and we just noticed it. Like we noticed that like there was just way less magazine coverage, you know, and tours were still fine, everything, you know, all the bands were still growing, but the hype definitely changed. Yeah. Then right after that, which was like kind of weird, right after that, the hype died, but you know, we all still kept playing. Everyone kept playing, but then you started seeing new bands coming out, and then now it's like I can't even keep up with it, man. Like it's really hard to keep up with the amount of new bands that come out.
Yeah.
And there's so many.
Yeah, there's so many.
There's a lot though that are like,
yeah,
incredibly.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands though that are fucking really good. Like where I'm listening to it and I'm like, these guys are way better guitar players than me. These guys are way better singers than me. And I'm just like, wow, man. Like, and I've always been saying it. I said that when I turn into my 30s, I wanted to walk into a bar or a venue to play a gig, and some 20-year-old would come up to me and be like, hey, Zach, you know, fuck you, bro, you know, like punch me right in the face or something. And I'd be like, you know, fucking new kids, man, they're taking over, you know. And I hope nobody's and then some kid now is gonna be like, hey, I've seen in an interview that Zach wants to get punched in the head. Oh, all right, cool, I'm gonna do it, you know. And but there's a lot of
crazy.
But it's hard.
There is, and like, you were talking about this album here.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I want to talk about this album a little bit. Chasing the Dream. I think it's one of my favorite albums of all time. I just did a top 20 sophomore metal albums, and I ranked it number 3 all time. And just looking back on this, what are your memories of like making this album? And also, it got a lot of the way I figured it, like discovered you guys was through that movie Deathgasm.
Yeah.
Y'all had a song in there. You know, how did that you know, help you guys? Like, did you get a lot of like extra exposure from that? How'd that all happen?
You know what? I used to get occasionally, like it was kind of common for guys who were making, you know, like independent horror movies. Always come like there's probably man, there's probably about 4 or 5 different movies that have, before Deathgasm came out, that have Skullfist songs in them. And guys would just be like, hey man, can I put this on a movie? Like, yeah, give it, dude. Like, I don't care. Yeah, do whatever. And so the same thing happened with Deathgasm. When the guy had emailed me and said, hey man, can I put, he used Hour to Live and Bad for Good at the end. And I totally was just like, yeah, man, give her, dude. I don't care. Do your thing. Just, let me know if you need anything or whatever. Let me know how it goes and blah, blah, blah. And and then I remember he emailed me a couple months later. It's like, hey, our movie's doing really good. We're at all these independent movie festivals and all these cool things. And I was like, oh, fuck, well, I got to watch it, And so we went to the premiere in Toronto when he had it, and we got fucking blisteringly drunk. And then, of course, when they did the premiere, he was like, he's at the premiere and he's talking before the movie goes on. And he's like, oh, one of the bands that is in the movie is actually here checking out the movie. And, you guys should come on up for a minute and say hi. And there's like all these people that me and Casey are just shit tanked and we're eating poutine. And so I don't remember what happened with her, but it was just really funny. And when I did watch the movie, though, it was totally really good. It was like legit such a good movie that I wasn't surprised on how well it did, but I was surprised on how many people found the band because of that movie. Honestly, I think that movie absolutely was really helped. And that guy was like the fucking coolest guy ever. Like, he was so cool. And his movie was so cool, and so many times, I would get messages from people on Instagram or Facebook and shit like back then. And they'd be like, hey man, I just found your band from Deathgasm. And it would happen more and more and more. And I was like, oh wow. Like, I didn't even realize when I was like, yeah, give her, man, do whatever. I don't care. But it actually was a huge help. It was a huge assistance, which I'm sure for every band on that record, because the guy actually did do a really good soundtrack. And he definitely knew his shit. He wasn't.
Awesome. And one other thing I'm curious about, on this album, you're credited as Jackie Slaughter, Zach Slaughter, Zach Scottler. Is there any specific reasoning why you have so many different? You're the Mick Foley of metal here.
I'm switching to the artist formerly known as soon, and
yeah.
Well, what it was like. It was just originally our drummer's name was Vag, Kenny's name was Shred. So I had to have a ridiculous name. So I said, fucking Jackie Slaughter, man. Yeah, let's do it, And so we went with it. And we thought it was funny, We just thought it was funny. And then when Head of the Pack came out, we left it, I didn't care. And then I started kind of being on the EP, the drummer's name, her name is Emily. Her name was Allison Thunderland. Just we were just fucking around. Skullfist has always been like a serious band, but also like unserious. You know what I mean? Like, the music is very serious, but everything else that we do, we're just fucking around, So, but as I started getting older, man, I was like, yo, man, I don't want to be a 50-year-old guy still calling himself fucking Jackie Slaughter. Like, that's weird, man. And so I was like, I'm like, my name's Zach, man. Like, that's my name, So I was like, I'm just going with Zach. And then so I went with Zach. And then I just still felt weird about it, man. I was like, that's not even my name, dude. Like, it's just weird, man. People were like, hey, it's Zach Slaughter. Like, that doesn't, I don't know, man. It's just like, it just felt totally weird. Like, because it started out as kind of a joke. And having somebody be like, hey, Jackie Slaughter, man. I was like, oh, dude, no, my name's Zach, man. Like, no, dude. It's like, I don't want to be 60-year-old Blackie Lawless or something, Like, that guy's name is probably Dave or something,
Yeah. So on the next Skullfist album, are you going to be credited as just Zach Scottler, like your real name?
Well, yeah, I was going to do that. And then the one after that, I'm going to be like Jack Slater or something, and just keep throwing.
Epic. Yeah.
Keep changing it.
Oh yeah, changing it up, dude.
No, it would be nice to. Yeah, it would. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just it was something fun to do. But then when I got older and realized that, like, okay, Skullfist is an actual band now. You know, it was like, I'm like, this is, I'm on tours and stuff now. I was like, this, I don't know, man. It's like, I'm old and shit. Like, I'm 34, you know, like, I don't want to be fucking, yeah, you know.
Mm-hmm. Dude, so back to talking about your like skateboarding accident. I was actually looking at the footage of that from. It said 2013 is when it actually happened.
No, yeah, maybe it was 2013. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so dude, that's on video and it's just wild. If anybody hasn't seen it, it just hurts me to watch. So it said you recovered and were touring 8 weeks after that. Like, so how close were you to like getting paralyzed? Was it like super close, or you just like kind of like fractured it a little bit? What happened exactly?
I broke, it's called an M1, and it's the vertebrae that connects right to your skull, right next to it or something. And they said that I like cracked it through that. And they were like, had it broken off, it probably would have severed your spinal cord. So, well, they said it kind of definitely would have severed your spinal cord. You know, and they said you'd have been very fucked, you know, obviously. But how it broke, it just cracked through, but it didn't separate, it didn't break off, it didn't anything. It just cracked through. Yeah. And they were like, they're like, yeah, this is like the best scenario of breaking your neck you could ever have, you know. They're like, you just totally fucking out there, dude. And so it was, but it was a lot. It was a bunch of shit because I hit my face, so I broke my cheekbone, and it like shifted my eye. And so they thought, you know, it was all messed up, and they were like, they were gonna have to do surgery. So they said, we're gonna have to do surgery on your face and shit. And I was like, yeah, like I'm gonna be like Mad Max now, you know, like all right, and you know, like a bionic half face, like a dude from Mortal Kombat or something. And but it turned out that it was actually, it shifted my eye because there was swelling behind my eye that was actually pushing my eye. So it shifted my eye, and then after about 2 weeks, the swelling went down, and they realized, because I couldn't see properly out of my one eye. And they said, oh, shit, you know, because I broke here, I must have shifted. I don't remember my cheekbone. Maybe they said it was up here. And I don't know. Yeah, it was all wonky. But the next thing was luck. Honestly, the next thing was luck, man. And even it was just like a freak fucking accident, you know, like I went to put my hands down, but it was dark out. So when I put my hands down, I just swiped at nothing, you know? So my hands went out of the way, and then it just, you know, head dived into the cement or pavement or whatever. And it was and that's why
did you like keep skateboarding like right after you like recovered, or are you a little like gun shy on that now, or you still just skate like whatever?
Well, I had like a severe concussion and all this stuff, so it was like I was kind of dumb for like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. It's like I was drunk, you know, like you know, like you said, like, hey, what'd you do this morning? You know, I was like, I had no idea what I did that morning. And it was like, what'd you eat for lunch? You know, like 2 hours ago. And I was like, oh, fucking pizza pops or something. Like, I don't know. And but it was, you know, the one thing that was really cool was that being in the hospital for about a week and a half or 2 weeks, I can't remember, it was about a week and a half, I think. It was actually the most peaceful time I ever had. There's no doubt about that. It was peaceful. I didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't even know who I was for the first like 3-4 days. So it was like, it was honestly, like, it sounds weird, but like, it was a weird experience, and there's bad stuff, but it was a really good experience as well, because there was like this one spot where it was like every single thing in my head was just not even there. I was just like a blank slate, but I was aware of it. And it was like, people were coming to visit me, and I didn't even fucking know who they were, dude. Like, and I didn't even know my parents and shit like that. Like, and so it was like, I was so calm. And that was probably the best thing that came out of that, was actually the calm. but then I had to wear a neck brace. This is the worst part, because I had to wear a neck brace for almost 2 months, and I couldn't do that. I could not twist my head. They're like, you can't twist your head. This has got to heal, and if you twist your head, like, like, I don't know, whatever, like they said, you could fuck it up and sever your spinal cord or some shit. So I had this really fucking intense neck brace for like almost 2 months, and I had to sleep on my back. And that was the worst fucking sleeps ever, dude. Like, just lying on your back, and you can't move your neck, you can't move your head. And yeah, it was ridiculous. So right when they told me I could take the neck brace off, we went to Mexico and played like a small tour, which is cool.
Very cool. Glad you're recovered well from that. And any final thoughts here? Any final thoughts you wanted to run through? Let everybody know.
No, like I was saying to you before the stream started, the Warlock cover looks like a video game right there.
Oh, hell yeah. Right there.
That's a good Ted Nugent record. I don't know Fury, though. I don't know what that is.
That is the first band of Lenny Wolf from Kingdom Come.
Ah, okay. Yeah. I don't know that. Don't know any of it. What's it sound like? I couldn't hear anything because it got all fucked up.
Saying thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot for coming on here, dude. It was awesome.
Yeah, dude, of course, man. Like, yeah, absolutely, man. Anytime, dude. Like, I'm actually more stoked at looking at your records right now and wondering how many records you got and which ones you got.
Yeah, dude. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute. But everybody, thank y'all for watching, and be on the lookout for some more interviews. Thanks a lot to Zach. Listen to Skullfist, listen to his solo stuff, listen to Freedom, and
don't listen to Freedom. Don't listen to Freedom.
She.